I read some Asian books this month. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Now, on my quest for diversity, I have discovered a few more Asian authors that I wanted to read and actually read for this video, and I'm very excited to talk about them. Some are very traditional published and some are indie published, and some just need to be talked more about because they're very great books that you should pick up very soon. So let's get started. So the first book that I read was actually Last Tang Standing by Lauren Ho, and if you are a fan of my book haul videos, then you have definitely seen me talk about this book a lot because I have been raving about how gorgeous the cover is, how great the representation is, and how beautiful everything is about it, and how it was basically one of my most anticipated reads. And now this book actually follows a Chinese Malaysian character named Andrea, and Andrea has basically become the best daughter that a daughter has to be. She has a respectable career as a lawyer and she's on the right track to become partner at a firm, and she is earning money and she is basically being a very independent person that a lot of Asian families strive for and appreciate. But what happens when she attends a family function and she realizes that she is actually officially the last single Tang in her family, and now everybody's eyes are turned towards her and they're asking her what's her relationship status, you know, how's her boyfriend doing, and like do they have any plans to get married very soon, because you know she's just turned like mid-30s, her time is ticking and she is not going to have enough time to get married and to also have children and to start a family. And this is like the pressure she constantly deals with every time she goes to a family setting, occasion, a family party, or family dinner, and she's sick and tired of it. And what's worse is that she and her boyfriend has actually broken up recently, and she's still trying to get over the fact that her heart is broken. She doesn't know if she wants to get into the relationship game and to actually start meeting and dating new people. And so with like the plan of going on a hunt of trying to find someone so that she is not the last Tang standing, she joins an app and she meets a whole bunch of different guys, and she goes on a series of ridiculous dates with these guys. So if you're a fan of Crazy Rich Asians and also Bridget Jones' Diary, then you would definitely love this book, because this book is actually written in kind of diary entry formats where you kind of like see how her thoughts and feelings are, what her actions are, and it's broken down into different days. And it's fun to read and it's very light to read as well. And the other reason why you would really appreciate it if you are a fan of Crazy Rich Asians is because you're actually surrounded by a lot of Asians who are very wealthy and that who like to spend money and who do not care about how much money they spend or do not care about what they have to do in order to gain the money and to gain the wealth from others. And it's very fun, it's very lighthearted at times, and it's also very dramatic. So alongside that front of like trying to find a husband in a very short amount of time, she also has to deal with her office rival, who just so happens to be of, I think, like a South Asian descent. I forget entirely, but he's from Britain and then he came to Malaysia to become a lawyer in that office, and he and her are going at each other's throats so that they can gain like partnership, and that's like whatever they're working towards. And Andrea has like this special thing for him where she secretly hates him and she secretly hates how successful he is at everything he does, and it's very fun and entertaining to see them interact with each other. It also talked about racism and talked about like stereotyping in the Asian communities. It was lighter and it was like a perfect read to read in the summertime, so I really enjoyed it and I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. The reason why I didn't give it a perfect 5 out of 5 is because I thought that the plot was something that I've seen a lot before in a lot of movies and books. Not to say that it's a bad thing, but it was just like originality. It wasn't like the most creative ones that I've seen. So the next book that I read is I'll Be the One by Lila Lee, and now this book follows a teen character who is bisexual and she loves to dance. Like that's her main passion, but she also likes to sing. So she decides to try out for the K-pop auditions where she goes on a reality TV show, she trains with the other trainees, and then whoever makes the cut will be able to become an official trainee in Seoul, South Korea for an entertainment company so that they can have the chance of becoming a member of an idol group. And now our main female character is actually different from the other girls and from the other Asian stereotypes. She's a lot curvier than others. In the Asian communities, you're not allowed to be bigger than like a size 2, basically. You're supposed to be thin and you're supposed to be short and you're supposed to be tiny in general. So she's dealing with a lot of fat phobic people in the community who are openly making remarks about her body, who are telling her that she needs to lose weight in order to be beautiful. Yes, she has the talent to dance. Yes, she has the talent to sing, but she just doesn't fit the ideal shape and role of like what beauty is, in especially in Seoul, South Korea, and also to become an idol. But our main female character, thankfully, is very strong, and she really appreciates her body. She really loves her body because that's what she is trying to stand up for. She wants to become an idol so that she can become an idol to a future generation of children, so that they can look up to her and think that their bodies are normal and their bodies don't have to be stick thin in order to be beautiful. So she's trying to set up her own beauty standards. And along the way, she also has to compete against this really cute boy, and she doesn't know what to do because she wants to win the competition, but she also likes the cute boy now who she's going up against. So it's a very cute romance, and it talked about a lot about body positivity in general, and I really appreciated it. It also did a great job at talking about K-pop and talking about the industry and talking about like how certain people react to others, and I just really loved it. And if you're a fan of K-pop, or if you're just a fan of body positivity books, then definitely check this one out. I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Now, the next book that I read is Please Look After Mom. This is a Korean novel that I believe was translated into English because it was just so popular, and it was just like a book that everybody needed to read. And this book was perfect in a lot of ways, especially because if you come from an Asian descent, then you'll really appreciate this one because it talks specifically a lot about what an Asian mom kind of does and what they kind of think and what the society thinks that they should be and who they represent in the family. So this one talked about a mom who is basically lost. So she gets off the train off Seoul, and then nobody goes and picks her up, and then she goes missing. And this book is told in 5 different perspectives, or multiple perspectives, of the family members, talking about their relationship with this mom. And it's like the husband's relationship to his wife, and it's like the daughter's relationship to his mom, the son's relationship, and like also like the daughter-in-law and things like that. And all these stories kind of intertwine so that you can like learn the full story of like whatever happened to the mom, and like what basically was the mom going through this entire journey, this book. And I really appreciate it because it touched upon a lot of like heartbreaking things that like nobody really talks about, again, in the Asian community. And it was discussed like the relationship that you would tend to have as a daughter to and a mom, and also talked about the relationship with a son and a mom, and like how it's different from the son and the daughter, and how like the husband's supposed to treat the wife. And it was just so good. I really liked the aspects of it. It was like very heartbreaking, and I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. The reason why I didn't give a 5 out of 5 is because somewhere along the way I kind of like thought that the story was kind of dragging, but overall it was still a very enjoyable read, and I definitely recommend you to check this one out if you are interested. So the next book that I read was Aminas Voice by Hannah Khan, and now this book follows a Pakistan family who is welcoming their guest, and our main guest just so happens to be the uncle of our main female character. This one's kind of like a light middle grade novel involving our main female character being more confident in herself and confident in her abilities to sing at a musical in her school, and to also like embrace her culture and to embrace like who she is and what she represents. It also talked about like minority voices in the school as well, because her best friend is actually a Korean immigrant, and she got her citizenship in the book, and she wants to actually change her name so that she could become more Americanized, because she hates how people treat her differently because of the way that she looks and that her name is different. And then our main female character, Amina, is kind of feeling awkward about it because she doesn't want her best friend to change, but she also knows that there's a lot of judgment for the way you look and for basically anything, like the way you talk and also your name basically. So now she is scared, and she thinks that she needs to change in order to be accepted in her community. I also talked about racism in the Muslim community, and it talked about like the hatred a lot of the members of the community get from other people, from outsiders. And it was heartbreaking to see, and it was enlightening to read about, and it was definitely very educational. So if you have a young reader in the household, or if you just want to read young reader books and you just want to read middle grade, then I definitely recommend you to check this one out. I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. So the last book that I read was The Marriage Game by Sarah Desai, and now this one was one of my most anticipated romance novels that came out this year in 2020. This one I believe came out in June or May, I forget, but it came out, and you should definitely check this one out if you are a really huge fan of romantic comedies. So this one follows a character who basically is coming back to live with her parents because her business has failed and she wants to start her own business. Her relationship with her long-term boyfriend has failed too as well. It was a very messy breakup where she might have went to jail and she might have caused a big scene because her boyfriend was a complete jerk to her. So she decides to clean up her image and go back home to her family, and she actually has an office above the family's restaurant, and her father and her mother are both Michelin star owners of like restaurants, so they're successful on the restaurant front, and she thinks that everything is going well with her family, so she thinks it's no problem for her to move in on top of the restaurant. But then what happens when somebody else starts moving into her office as well, and this turns out to be that her father actually double rented that office space above the restaurant, and now it's our main female character Layla and our main male character Sam, and it's a love story where Sam is reluctant to leave the office space because he needs the office space so that he can start his own business of like closing down businesses and like acquisitions and mergers. And then Layla is like kind of like HR, where she's trying to do recruitment for businesses. So they're really complete opposites at each other, and I really like the sexual tension that they had with each other, also all the flirting and also like the quick remarks that they have with each other as well. So along the way, Layla also discovers that her father has actually set her up on a series of dates. So she just kind of goes through like the list of guys and potential guys that could be her husband to appease her father, and she is getting the help from Sam because Sam is not willing to let Layla go on a series of dates with all these jerks who are basically going to hurt her feelings. So Sam is there to basically help her out, and it was a very fun book to read. There were a lot of funny and romantic parts to this book that I really appreciated. The only parts that I didn't really like is that how flippant like the characters were. They will very go on and off a lot of the times, where Layla is very attracted to Sam and thinks Sam is the best, but then like Sam does one thing and then Layla suddenly goes off the grid and believes that he is the worst human being alive. I got a lot of whiplash from this novel where I was just like, okay, so do you like him or do you not? And then Sam does the same as well. Not to say that Layla was the only one. And so it was frustrating all the times, and problems did get resolved a lot quicker than I was expected, but it was still an overall a good novel to read, and I ended up giving this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars. But anyways, that is it for all the Asian books and romances that I have read for the first week of July. I really appreciated these novels, and I really liked the diversity and like the voices I've read from it. So if you guys do have books that you are interested in, definitely add them to your TBR and read them and let me know how you feel about them. But until next time, I'll see you guys again. Bye.